Yes, it is. It's time to get in the ring with DJ D. Kooks and now Stephen Bleiler.
In the ring you will get.
Yes, and we have 4 matches to talk about today. Here we're coming up on the 25th anniversary of what many wrestling fans consider to be one of the greatest matches of all time. The Holy Demon Army of Akira Taue and Toshiaki Kawada versus Kenta, Kobashi, and Mitsiharu Misawa. We're talking about today. We are talking about Adam Cole versus Johnny Gargano from NXT TakeOver New York. We are talking about the Hangman Page and Kenny Omega versus the Young Bucks from AEW Revolution, and we are talking about the Money in the Bank match from Money in the Bank 2020. I should have switched it to the Stadium Stampede match that recently happened at the AEW review. You would have enjoyed it a lot more, but we chose the Money in the Bank match. But I can look back on the Stadium Stampede match and say it was very good compared to the Money in the Bank match. But we'll start with something I thought was very good, and Steven has a lot of thoughts on.
25 years in the making.
9/95. Mitsiharu Misawa, Kenta Kobashi, Holy Demon Army. Your initial thoughts?
I want to clarify for everybody out there. This was my coming out party, being June 9th, 1995, for all you Americans out there. This was my heyday. This was my tuning in WCW, WWF. So as I approached this match, and I was very intrigued by it when I was sent it by DJ D. Kooks, because I started up and I put it on and I hear Japanese. I see Japanese graphics. I'm trying to make sense of who's who. I dig in. My initial thought, and I kept making these connections back to, like I said, WWF, WCW, but my initial thought, I'm sitting there going, this is kind of slow. They're not showing any emotion. How are they going to tell a story? And if you know me, I love talking stories with DJ D. Kooks. But as I kept going, so a little bit past my initial reaction, I changed out slow with methodical. I changed out that lack of emotion with the in-ring storytelling. A lot of intricacies in this match that I definitely didn't pick up on in the beginning, but they definitely grew on me. And believe it or not, I see a lot of parallels in this match to any of the great matches that I was watching back in 95, 96 from WWF and WCW. Different, but similar.
Because a lot of those guys were watching these guys because these guys were for the best.
That makes sense. What were your initial thoughts, DJ?
This is one of the greatest tag matches of all time, in my opinion. And it has the greatest in-ring storytelling of all time. Kawada's the guy in the black and yellow. I have to clarify it for Steven because Steven doesn't necessarily know All Japan as well as everyone else does, and some of these hardcore fans. So I have to tell him which guy is which. He is playing the perfect asshole heel. Like, just getting, like, cheap shots in as he possibly could to piss off both Misawa and Kobashi. Taue is there, but he is a good support to Kawada being an asshole. But Kawada has this great asshole instinct about him. And then Misawa and Kobashi are the perfect babyface team. the moment of the match for me was Kobashi grabbing Misawa's leg to prevent him from being powerbombed and covering Misawa's body to protect him from being beaten from Taue and Kawada. That's epic storytelling right there. You're doing anything you possibly can to protect your partner. That shows camaraderie. That shows brothership. That shows passion. And it has chaotic action. You said it was slow at first, but I thought the action picked up. It was brilliant from start to finish. What more could you want from a wrestling match, in my opinion?
And I do want to clarify it. I guess I should say it appeared slow to me, but as I kept going, I realized that there was a lot of, and you just hit on this, there's a lot of intricacies, there's a lot of nuance in this match that actually pulls back what I thought was slow. And then I realized, to your point, it was just an art form. Like they were just putting, their craft. You could just tell these guys are masters of their craft, and they didn't need that fast pace to tell that story. And I would definitely say over the course of the 45 minutes or so of the actual in-ring wrestling, about 20-25 minutes in, I really started to realize the things that you're talking about right now.
Yeah, it's like Kobashi, even though he was in so much pain, he freaking laid over Misawa. Dude, and to freaking put the cherry on top, Kawada pinned Misawa for the first time in his career in this match.
Big moment. Huge moment.
It's a big moment because every time they faced off, it's either Kobashi eating the pin or he loses to Misawa.
Right. So this is a big freaking deal, this finish.
So every time they faced off, 0 pins on Kawada, pins on Misawa, 4 pins by Misawa on Kawada in singles matches. Even Kobashi got a pin on Kawada. A lesser chase by Kawada and Taue started as the top tag team in the rivalry. They won the tag team titles in the first series they started tagging in from the first Gaijin tag team of the decade. Gaijin meaning foreign. Then they beat Misawa and Kobashi in the first meeting of the teams in 693. They retained and then they lost the titles. They just chased and chased and chased. They just faced. They won titles. They got that taste of success and then chased and chased.
Right. It was a real journey, not just nothing cheap about it. Totally earned.
And I didn't even describe the whole journey,
Right.
It's just not cheesy. It's not. The crowd here too.
Strong crowd for sure.
People who don't know what they're talking about criticize Japanese crowds for being silent and sort of knock them for being like respectful. This crowd was high fever pitch.
As if they knew, it's easier for you to look back 25 years and there's been so much written, obviously, and discussed about this match. But it's almost as if the people that were watching it live, they knew, the fans could feel how truly epic it was in the moment, which is a sign of a great match for sure.
Like, there are certain matches you watch in time. You watch Undertaker Michaels, and you know it. You know that this match is going to be discussed for a very long time. Or you watch like an Okada Omega match, which we'll watch, and I watched it at the time too, and I was like, this match is going to be discussed for a very long time. Like the 2 out of 3 falls match. That match. I watched it live. You know, you watch it live and you're like, holy shit. And those fans had that same exact feeling, like, and you're going insane.
Right.
Like, I was at a match like that. When you're at a 5-star match, you want to go fucking balls to the wall. Gargano Andrade, the NXT title match, from Takeover Philadelphia was like that, because it's like you're watching something special. You're watching wrestling history, and you're watching a great match. One of the all-time. And that's how people felt when they're watching Flair. That's how people felt when they were watching Austin. That's how, you know.
You just know. You can just tell.
And this is how people felt when they watched these 4.
Right. Because some matches take time, and they grow on you, and they gain popularity, even lose it over time. But yeah, you're right. Sometimes some matches like this, you know, in the moment they're great, and then here we are 25 years later, still just as great as it always was.
Yeah, and I sort of knew you weren't gonna understand it at first. But then as time progressed, you were gonna be like, yeah, this is undeniable. Like Kobashi's knee selling. It's like some of the and the leg work that Kawada and Taue were doing with some of the best limb work you have ever. It's like a masterclass in pro wrestling. And you don't get that sort of masterclass. It's very rare you get a masterclass in pro wrestling like that now, or ever. And
yeah, I mean,
Terry Funk thought 3 of those guys were some of the greatest ever, and he's been in the ring with Ric Flair. Terry Funk thought that highly of Kawada, Taue, and Misawa.
Right.
I mean, Kawada, Kobashi, and Misawa. Taue is often the 4th. Is often referred to as the 4th of the 4. And yeah, he is the 4th of the 4, but he's still a fucking Hall of Famer. But 3 of the 4 are like fucking all-time greats.
Right. Yeah, that's high praise. That's high praise for sure. No doubt about it.
But you can't it's something you can't deny. It's something you can't deny. It's sort of like you can't deny with the Hangman Page. It's for a different reason with the Revolution match.
There you go.
We'll get. Let's go to that match, because
that match. Let's do it.
That match was incredible for different reasons. People who have never seen this match were calling that one the greatest tag team match of all time.
It's always tough when within a short period of time you're watching 2 examples of greatness, because you naturally want to compare. And obviously, having watched both of these matches, It's tough because they're so different and yet they're so similar.
Yeah.
Definitely a much faster pace at times with this match between the Young Bucks, Hangman, and Omega. But at the same time, when you get down to it, and we love talking about story, some great storytelling, some great tag team storytelling, where all four competitors working towards that same storyline, and they're all doing their part. They're all interacting with each other individually. It's just you really get a feel for what they were trying to do. And as I watched it, and again, I come into a lot of these matches cold, meaning don't have a lot of the background necessarily. But with this match in particular, I feel like I was caught up in the first 10 minutes. And the majority of that is just because you can tell in this match, they're not just selling this match, they're selling the entire storyline, all that build up. And I thought that was just a master stroke of brilliance. And I thought they did a great job.
Yeah. It's just something of like you watch the Bucks and Omega who have had so much history with each other, and then you had Paige in there, and these four knocked it out of the park with like so much high impact offense, and then the working in with the psychology, and working the nuances too.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
And there's some parallels, like you had mentioned in the previous match, different injuries that different guys are trying to sell. And in this match, you got Omega with his shoulder, you got one of the Young Bucks with the small of his back, and like, but not doing it in a corny, in a cheesy, in an over the top way, as we sometimes get nowadays in WWE, but just really good selling. I don't think as good as the last match, and I think you would agree there, but definitely still some very good selling.
It wasn't as good, but it was very good.
Yeah, definitely well above average, but I agree. But again, that when you compare
still a 5-star match,
right? When you compare greatness, match. Right? It's somebody's got to be on top, and that's not always a dig towards second place.
Not still a dig towards second place.
Yeah. No, I agree, 100%.
These are some of the greatest tag team matches I've ever seen.
Yeah.
One being above the other, but I watched this match earlier this year, and I was like, and you get trigger happy. You want to say this is the greatest thing I've ever seen, and then you watch 6/9/95, and then you're like, yeah. Again, and you're like, holy shit, that still holds up.
Yeah.
Great wrestling's timeless.
Absolutely. And one thing I keep going back to as I think about and I reflect on this match in particular, the Young Bucks, Omega, and Hangman, is the chemistry that these guys obviously developed basically throughout their entire wrestling careers. Not only was it obviously injected and a huge part of the storyline, you can tell every hold, every transition, every tag, every time anything is going on in that ring, you can tell that these guys work really well together. They just know each other so well, just as professionals, even if storyline aside, just as craftsmen, I thought it was brilliant in that sense. It's like, obviously you know each other very well. Whether you're delivering a move or you're the one about to get smacked down, I just felt like they were able to just be in like a symbiosis, and everything just looked really crisp, really strong. I thought all four competitors here did a really good job of making it extremely viewable, whether you're a diehard fan, whether you're a mediocre fan. If this was the first match you ever turned on, I think everybody's equally impressed.
Yeah. Yeah. This is what wrestling's about. Those two matches are what wrestling's about.
And the finish of this match, I'm a stickler for finishes. I'm usually not. I don't get overly hype. I don't go. Put it this way: I can watch a match and go, "Oh, that's a fantastic match," and be super hype. But sometimes I'll be like, "Yeah, the finish could have been better." Like I'm a very tough grader when it comes to the finish of a match, because I think in some aspects nowadays finishing maneuvers are kind of just.
Yeah.
And I think we've talked about this.
I recently watched Shawn Michaels versus Mankind from In Your House Mind Games.
Okay. All right.
And I wanted to pull the 5-star trigger so bad on that match because that match is fucking great. But it had a DQ. It had a DQ finish, and I was like, nope.
Yeah.
4 3/4. 4 3/4.
Yeah.
DQ finish.
So you got me. So you understand what I'm saying. I agree. Like if I'm gonna give you that 5-star, you gotta go start to finish. Can't be.
What they were trying to do at the time, but I rewatched that match because somebody on a podcast network is going to do all the In Your Houses, and and it's one of the greatest matches in WWE history. The Shawn Michaels Mankind In Your House match, In Your House 10 from Philadelphia, at the time the newly opened Core State Center.
Core State Center, right? Yeah, I remember. But
and it was so good, but I was like, no, I wanted to pull the 5 stars.
Right. But hey, that's the that's the objective world that we live in. You gotta deliver from start to finish.
Do you want to come down before we come back up, or do you want to stay up and come down?
Well, I think we should go down before we come back up.
Because Cole Gargano is fucking great.
Yeah, and I don't want to end it with the match that we're about to talk about, which that would, especially considering you and I were just talking about finishers and finishing matches, we can't finish this podcast if we're going to roll with that Money in the Bank. So let's get it out of the way. Let's talk about it now. Great transition. Nicely done, DJ D Cougs. I'll let you start. I'll let you start on this one, and then I'll come in.
I'll just say Stadium Stampede was the best of the cinematic matches that AEW did. You didn't see it. I'm just exhausted talking about Money in the Bank. I did all my thoughts.
Okay.
On the last podcast we did. It's just so dumb.
So dumb. Just, it's funny. I was talking to somebody else after I had done that with you. And so obviously I'd watched it. I'd reflected on it. We talked about it. I was talking with somebody who had seen it. And he was just 100% in agreement.
Dumbfounded?
Everything we said, he said the same thing. And this is a guy I never even talked wrestling with. Just completely disgust, just not sure who or what that was for. I still can't find an audience. Sometimes people go, oh, it was for the kids. That was not for the kids. Because guess what? I teach kids. They're not into that. That's not what they want. I don't know who that was for, what that was for. Swing and a miss, struck out. Never again. That needs to go and get put into a casket. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I don't even want to reflect on it because there's enough negative things in our world.
Right. Yes. Let's move it on.
Let's talk about Mr. Adam Cole and Johnny Gargano.
Here we go. Let's do it.
This match was really good. I hadn't watched it in a while because sometimes Johnny Gargano burns me out. And
How so?
sometimes the NXT's house style burns me out because it's a lot of big moves, it's like these epic bloated matches, like 45, 50-minute matches that are bloated. Especially with Johnny Gargano.
I can see that, yeah.
And this is your first exposure to Johnny Gargano, so I understand you might have thought this was like great shit, but it bleeds through into the NXT product.
Right. And I am very familiar with the NXT product. And believe it or not, I had seen. So whenever you give me a match to watch, if I don't know the people, I do look them up, and then obviously I check out some clips and things like that. So I was slightly familiar with his style and kind of what he brings to the table, but I definitely get your point. And it's, I never actually thought about it like that. It does feel like NXT with these shows, they do try to throw all the great stuff at you. And it does kind of bloat the match. Like I when you said that, it really resonated. It really connected with me.
And no, this was actually a culmination of like the Johnny Gargano story, which actually helped it because I know people who voted this match of the year on the Voice of the Wrestling Bowl. The founder of the Voice of the Wrestling site voted this match of the year. Okay?
There you go.
Not a Johnny Gargano fan. But there are also people who are not a fan of this style.
Right. Which, I mean, to each their own. I think it's funny. It makes me think about two things real quick. In wrestling, you hear that a lot, like, oh, not a fan of that style, or not a fan of this guy for this reason. And it makes me think, one of the things that's disillusioned me so much with the WWE product is that, like, I feel like we get force-fed, like, what they think is the style or the type of wrestler that we want to see. And I don't think that's what people want to see. But now that I think about it, that's kind of what I like about Gargano, is that, I don't know, there's just something a little, I don't know. I don't know. It's hard for me to.
This match is very good. This match is very good. This match is a little weighty for me. It doesn't pick up the third fall. That's really my complaint with 2 out of 3 falls matches.
Okay.
Every 2 out of 3 falls match, they fuck around in the first fall. The second fall, second falls are bland as fuck. And then the third fall is just...
That's where they let it all hang out.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like, why not just give me one fall and then just hit me with your best shot? Why are you making me go through 3 falls? And I get that. It's a good breakdown.
Yeah. But this match is good. Johnny Gargano and Johnny Cole. Oh my God.
Hey now.
Johnny Gargano and Adam Cole are great wrestlers.
Yeah.
Very,
very fluid in the ring. A lot of good movement. Not a lot of wasted movement. Like, they're very efficient. Not a lot of extra. It's to the point. There's a lot of action. It's not always necessarily a big shot or a big body blow, but there's a lot of action. I feel like they keep the adrenaline going.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying there.
But you're right. It kind of the style of the match does kind of, because you can't. They're not going to go balls to the wall for all three falls. You're right. It's there's kind of that. I guess it's like the playbook that they always follow, and they wait for that third fall before they really start pulling out the big guns, which is fine. But I do think like you could just do that with one fall. You could follow that similar arc in a one fall format for sure.
Yeah.
But I think they like the thought of that. They like the thought of like the Iron Man match, these kind of stipulations that make it feel like that was a war. Like that was an endurance test. You know what I mean? Which I get. I mean that stuff is cool, and that stuff does speak to things like conditioning and in ring, just how they are.
Yeah, and it's cool, but it's like sometimes it can get exhausting.
Yeah.
Especially when you're not as invested in the product.
Yeah, and I think it's tough sometimes because there's definitely a sweet spot, and I don't think it's just quantifiable. Like you don't know. Like okay, the best matches are going to be 42 minutes. Right. There's no magic number, but there's that sweet spot because you start a match, you're telling that story. It's like you want to get your best product out there. You don't want to overstay your welcome, but you don't want it to be too quick to where you really couldn't reach the full potential of the match. There's that sweet spot. Like there's truly great epic 5-star matches. It's like you don't even realize how long they are because they just hit that sweet spot.
Right. I agree. I totally agree with that.
And I think that's a hard thing to come by sometimes. And
there are people who are trying to have 5-star matches, and there are people who happen to have 5-star matches.
Yeah, I like the way you put that.
And I believe the NXT product is trying to have 5-star matches.
Yeah, and I will say, for as much as I hammer WWE nowadays, my favorite of everything that they do nowadays is by far the NXT stuff.
Yeah, the NXT stuff is still good, but it's like sometimes it gets weighty.
And especially now because I've seen a lot of when a guy finally or when a guy or a girl finally gets that call up, I see a lot of waste. I see a lot of kind of like, okay, here they are. Now what? I mean, there's definitely some. There are some. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like a vast majority of the time, you have all this buildup. A guy or a girl, they get all this steam, all this momentum. They're really over. They really earned it. But then it's like you end up on the main card, the main roster, and it's just like sometimes I feel like WWE doesn't know what to do with you at that point.
Yeah. So plugs.
Okay, plug it up. I am Jan McHusk. Holla at your boy.
DJZ Kooks on Twitter.
Get in his ring.
Yeah, DJZ Kooks on Twitter. What have you been up to lately? Just finishing off the school year?
Finishing off. Got 2 weeks left. Officially, well, I guess a week and a half now. But you enter that sweet spot where grades are due a week before school is over. So in essence, you're kind of done teaching that last week of school because you already have all of the students' report cards finalized. So you're really, normally you would just be kind of hanging out and showing them some stuff for the next school year, for the next grade level. But since we're working from home, it's kind of just like checking in on kids and seeing what they're going to be doing this summer. And, it's just weird. Normally in May, and then especially in June, teachers get all giddy. They feel like students, right? Summer's about to come. Even for me, I work all summer, but I still love the end of the school year.
Right.
But I'll tell you, this year, it's
not that giddy.
I mean, yeah, I'm excited, but it's like, it's definitely not the same feeling. I was having a professional conversation with my principal yesterday, and he was asking me how I'm feeling about the end of the year, and that's what I told him, and he agreed. He said, yeah, it's definitely not. It's not that same feeling that it used to be. So it's interesting. How about you? What's going on? What's on your docket?
Groups, getting in the ring, doing hard and heavy, just doing things.
I mean, hey, at the end of the day, that's all we can do, right?
Right.
Do some stuff, stay busy, keep your mind sharp. You know what I mean?
Get in the ring.
And get